Okay, all right. That was a lot. That was a lot to watch, digest, process. I have been up all night. I've been consuming reaction videos, information, anything we can know to better inform you, hopefully. But we're gonna talk about what we just saw. Honestly, my first thought was they won't start the show with this. No, absolutely not. They'll build up the show with all these, reveals and all this sort of stuff, and then they'll end on Halo Infinite the way, they should. But nope, they started out with this thing in the sky, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. That's not Halo. And then I'm looking at this thing fly through, and I'm like, no, that's not Halo. I don't even know what I'm looking at. And then I hear the words Mjolnir, and I'm like, you gotta be joking. You gotta be kidding me. You're catching me. This is the third year that they've caught me off guard while revealing or showing something about Halo Infinite. But they showed that trailer, the Step Inside trailer. It was literally one of the most beautiful trailers I think I've ever seen. Oh man, and the just every shot, every sequence, animation, everything that went into that trailer was so carefully crafted and well put together. And the final few seconds of it with the music, just literally my heart didn't know what to do. But after that, we then see a beautiful open vista with a halo ring with what looks to be a portal. I don't know what that's supposed to signify, if it's supposed to signify anything. And it says, start Halo Infinite Beta. We open on Brohammer flying himself and Chief through the Halo ring, trying to dodge enemy anti-air turret fire and shots. They're shot twice, they crash land. Brohammer kind of passes out for a few seconds, Chief pulls him back, and then they start this. It's not even like it's just a one-sided, he's pissed. He is mad at Chief. It'll be like I've genuinely seen someone not in power or not of this power role be mad or talk back to Chief at all. They do a bit more talking, they do a bit more reasoning, and then the camera just, hold up. Chief, first of all, Chief, suit, everything about him just looks perfection. I've said it before, I'll say it again. His armor is the most perfect iteration we have ever seen. The reflections, the lighting, the perfect amount of scratch. It's so well made and so well crafted, and I can't help but smile every time I see it. Brohammer walks away, Chief turns around, and we walk out of the Pelican onto this Halo ring. Very, very reminiscent of Halo CE. Every trailer, everything in this demo is so good. I kept it kept pulling me back in, but at the same time it kept pulling me out because I had to think to myself, I'm like, this music is just so good. So good. And I'll explain when those moments are. But he walks out, you see wildlife all over, just kind of running around. That I loved that moment for me, honestly. The wildlife I miss that. I missed that a lot since Halo Reach. I think the closest thing we had to Halo Reach was, birds flying around, but also MOA and chasing those around and shooting and killing those. That was just such a fun little thing to take your attention away and to not have to remind yourself of the stakes going on. And I loved that about Reach. And I love that about this. It adds another element of immersion and adds another element of pulling you in and bringing this entire ring and world, not even world, just ring, just bringing this entire ring to life. I love that. I love the design of the AR. I love the simplicity in it. It's very Halo Reach-esque while not being as battered as Halo Reach. I was super excited to see the mix of old and new art styles, the factions all kind of working and coexisting. I think that worked and looked incredibly well. The vistas and the open world aspect look fantastic. My heart kind of sank a little bit when I saw him sprint, not gonna lie, but more on that in a bit. The Warthog sounds fantastic. It looks like it drives better than Halo 4 and Halo 5's. I could be wrong, but I really want to know how that Warthog handles, because I've always been very particular about how the vehicles feel when you're driving them, how much resistance there is, how the handling, etc. and I just want to know how it feels. The abilities that have carried over from Halo 5, the sprint, the clamber, the slide, they feel much more toned down, and I'm happy about that. They help you feel the weight of yourself. I love Halo 5, but Halo 5's mechanics, their movement mechanics, when you really think about it, they felt very floaty, if that makes sense. But with what I'm seeing, the sprinting, the sliding, the clamber, everything just looks very, very compact, more controlled. I like that a lot. I kind of expected sprint to be in there. I'm not too disappointed. Considering the fact that we know this is an open world game, it makes sense to have it in there. But at the same time, I want everybody to understand, you know, we don't know for a fact what abilities will carry on to the multiplayer. We could probably assume it's all gonna be in the multiplayer, but just because something is in the campaign does not mean it's going to also fully carry over to the multiplayer side of things. So I have a little bit of hope left there, but time will tell. The explosions, the colors of the effects, just the muzzle flashes, everything, they look just so good, so vibrant, so full of life, and the dynamic coloring in all of it, just the vibrance of all of it just looks so good. I love the design of the elites. They're very Halo 2 Anniversary-esque reminiscent. I'll talk more about their textures and the way their armor sort of visually looks, but the shape and the form of them is perfect. The new weapons, the Commando, absolutely love. I think it looks and I think it'll play fantastically in the rest of the sandbox. The sidekick, I'm hoping the pistol is not the is not the main pistol in the game. I'm hoping it's just a variation. While it looks very good and it functions well, and the animations on there, the trigger discipline, you can see the proper placement of the hands, everything looks very, very well done and animated, but I'm really hoping that's not the main pistol. It just kind of looks pretty bland, kind of boring, not very Halo, so to speak. The Ravager looks very, very fun to use. It's a very menacing gun. I like the simplistic nature, but I wanted a little bit more to where when you look at it from a distance, you're like, that's a banished weapon. I don't even have to think about it. It just seemed a little bit too gray, too dark for what I expected. And then the Pulse Carbine looked really well. I'm really hoping that replaces the Storm Rifle. Again, I hope it's a variation of the carbine. I hope it's not replacing the carbine, but I'm really hoping it replaces the Storm Rifle. It looks better, it looks more interesting, more fun to use than the Storm Rifle was. We see the Energy Sword and we see the BR for just like a half a second each, or a few frames. The BR looks fantastic. I think it mixes old and new art styles very, very well. It's more reminiscent of the classic battle rifle design than it is the new ones, but it's got the kind of the hard corners or the hard curves, if that makes sense, of the newer designs. The scope seems like one that could be taken off and replaced with another, as well as you can see a rail on the side that might, I'm assuming that's gonna be for attachments. The upgrades in the tac map, there we go. And the sword. I'm not a huge fan of the purple coming out of the sword. Maybe it has to grow on me, maybe I gotta see more of it. But the more rounded corners, the not super sharp edges, the sword is just exuberating this heat and this plasma and this energy. It looks great, and I want to see so much more of it. The sword has always been one of my favorite weapons in the entire franchise, and again, I'm very particular with the sword as well, and I want to know how it feels, how it plays, how it clashes. There's just so much more of this game that we need to see. And then the Mangler. The animation when he first picks it up, he just grabs it and he slides it all. Oh man, I loved it. I loved it so much. At first, I was a little tricked. I thought, I was like, oh, that's a hand grenade launcher, guys. But it's just a banished pistol, but it's just got such a nice punch and such a nice sound to it. And by the looks of it, it just looks like it feels amazing. The weapons all look great. My main criticism of them, to be honest, I've heard and I've seen or found information that the Bulldog could possibly be replacing the classic shotgun. And I'm really hoping that's not true. That came from IGN. They had an interview about it. They didn't say like directly that they told them that, but that was in their description of that shotgun. Weapons aside, ingrained Spartan abilities aside, let's talk about the equipment. So the grapple shot, the official name of the grapple hook that leaked like like a year ago, is officially official. And at first I was a little worried. I know on the cover art, the day before the reveal, we saw it on his wrist, on his arm, and I know we were a little worried. I'm happy though. I'm satisfied. It looks good, and it looks like it plays very well. I'm happy it doesn't play kind of like Titanfall 2's grappling hook, where it's very floaty, I guess, for lack of a better term. And I'm also happy it does not look like it plays like Black Ops 4's grappling hook, where it just pulls you directly towards it. So far from what I'm seeing, it seems like it plays a lot like Pathfinder's grappling hook from Apex Legends. And that's super fun to use. And so the little bits that I've seen, it looks sort of closer to that. I'm hoping it's like, you know, not a one-for-one, very, very close to how that functions and feels, but I guess we'll have to see. So far, it looks super, super dope. Being able to grapple onto enemies and pulling yourself towards them to melee them, being able to grapple onto weapons, that was confirmed to grab, you know, to pull those towards you. That, and just swinging around and pulling yourself up to new heights, new location. That's, it's just, it adds such a fantastically fun-looking dynamic to the gameplay and replayability of this campaign, and I cannot wait to use it. So with the grapple shot, we now know that there is equipment returning to Halo Infinite, reminiscent or reminding everybody of Halo 3. The only other example we're given besides the grapple shot is the drop wall. You can call it a shield wall, but it's technically called a drop wall. It's a one-time use, you drop it, you can actually shoot through the shield towards your enemies while the other side blocks you against shots, grenades. It's also, the design is very interesting. It's like a bunch of squares all kind of pieced together, and it seems like each square kind of has their own health bar, so to speak, where like the more that an enemy shoots it, maybe they can start shooting through that section of the wall instead of it all just kind of being one unifying wall. So super excited to see that. We have been told that the grapple shot will function differently in multiplayer, which I'm incredibly excited to hear. It also, as I noticed, it has a 8-second cooldown in the campaign. Those are the only two examples of equipment that we were shown. The weapons look great, the abilities look great, the equipment look fantastic. The little details of how the enemies react to you. I know that when the brute was running towards Chief and he started shooting him in the leg, he started to sort of stumble and fall. I thought that was super, super dope. I want to see more of that and how much more of that plays into the rest of the campaign with the other enemies, if that is a more touched on detail. Obviously, we don't know where Atriox is, what he's doing, if he's alive. I pray to God I hope he's alive. I think that's the best antagonist Halo has ever seen. I really hope they didn't kill him off screen or pull another Jewel Dama, I swear to God. But we are met with a new foe, a high-ranking officer or chief within the Banished, and he gives this little message slash speech. The gameplay demo we're shown is about roughly 1 to 2 hours already into the campaign. They've already confirmed that. And so, you know, we're missing a lot of context clues, a lot of details, but he talks about destroying humanity, about defeating humanity, the UNSC, etc. But he talks about how, like, after all he's done that, he grows weary, tired, alone, because he's not facing any more challenges, any more, you know, anything to come up that can try to face him. Some of this dialogue is like some of the best dialogue I've heard. Some of these one-liners. The dialogue in comparison from this to like the Halo Wars 2 DLC cinematics is such a breath of fresh air and such a fantastic level up. These lines of dialogue from this brute are some of the best I've ever heard. My heart sank in such a good way when the music swells back up and he just screams, "Set a fire in your heart, Spartan! Bare your fangs! Fight hard! Die well!" And it's just, it's so good. It's so good. All in all, my pros, the things I liked about it, the guns sound, everything sounds fantastic. I think the design of all the guns looks very, very good. I really hope the pistol is not the main pistol we have to use in Halo Infinite. I'm hoping it's just a variation. I'm loving the simplistic nature and the simplistic look of all the enemies, but again, with the enemies, I kind of wish the banished enemies looked a bit more rugged. I wish they had less red, more dark colors, more grays, more blacks. Black and gray should have been their primary color. Red should have been their secondary, if that makes sense. Or at least it should have been like half and half, where it seems very just all red. And with the elites and the grunts, again, they look great, but they just seem a little too simple. Like I want a little bit more ruggedness. I want a little bit more wear and tear on their armor. Just a little bit more nitty gritty. Not Halo Reach style, but just a few more sprinkles on there. Honestly, I don't have a whole lot of cons, but the number one thing I can think of was the Brute's facial expressions and animations. I know that we've already seen plenty of memes about it. It's fantastic, it's funny, but when you think about Halo 3 and Halo Reach's Brutes, they were always just menacing. They always had their teeth out. They always just looked angry and ready to rip your face apart if you give them the chance. But I don't know where this choice came from, but like the Halo Wars or the Halo Wars 2 style Brutes, their mouths are just closed. There's no teeth. There's no menacing look to them. They just look and so I'm really hoping that's something that they fix and I'm hoping that's something that they have fixed already. I know the build of this demo is, obviously it's not super up to date. Apparently it's a little bit old, but I can't say a whole lot. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There's still so much more to see, so much more to talk about, to digest, and I can't wait. The open world aspect of this campaign is something I am completely open to, something I'm completely for. I'm ready. I'm so ready. I was never really super into open world games and single player experiences, especially with the Halo campaigns. I enjoyed the Halo campaigns, I love them, but after 1 to 2, 3 times playing through, I felt like I'd already kind of played them, like, I feel like I'd already kind of played them every way that like was possible. There was never a whole lot of replayability with the older campaigns. There were, different weapons you could use in different areas and all that sort of stuff, but it just, at the core of it all, it was one long linear experience from hallway and open area to hallway to open area, and this just looks like a fantastic refresher of Halo's storyline and Halo's campaign gameplay. It looks like there's a huge amount of replayability for anybody. I'm super excited to play it. I'm super excited to watch other people play it because they can play it any way that they want, and it won't feel like it won't feel like I am watching somebody else play something that I have played. So I'm super, super excited about all of it. Honestly, it's more than I ever expected, and I'm incredibly positive and ready. I'm ready for this game. I feel like a lot of people they're very nitpicky. They're very focusing on a lot of small things that don't really affect the big picture of it all. I wish it looked better. I wish it looked more like a 2020 game, a next generation game. I'm hoping the Xbox One is not the reason it looks this way. I'm hoping that's not the reason it looks like it's kind of being held back from its true potential, but only time will tell. We're about less than four months from release, roughly, and I just want to see more. I want to see what else they've got up their sleeve. This campaign is about a few sizes larger than Halo 4 and Halo 5's campaign areas combined. I'm super excited about that. I can't imagine how much time is possible to put through this story mode. And I want to know more. I want to know how this is gonna end. I want to know how this is gonna play out. I want to know this story. If you want to follow me on Twitch, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 p.m. Central. You can also join my Discord if you want to come hang out with all of us, talk some Halo. Unless you got some stream questions, whatever you got in your head, come hang out with us. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. it because it's the new one. I'm coming. Sweet dreams, Action Jack. Sir? No, I gotta reload. Fuck, no, no, no. Did you guys just see that?